That is not a pretty graph to look at, actually pretty embarrassing. I'll never forget what you took from me. I hope Marvel Rivals takes all of Overwatch players, not gonna lie. Like hero shooters, here you go. Oh, actually, that's positive review, one of them at the least. Playing Overwatch now just makes me sad. This blank is buns, really terrible. Game sucks, go play Marvel Rivals. Abysmal, critical error prevents game from starting. Okay, that's a specific issue. Wait, Overwatch is a game. Another positive review, not bad. I have spent around 45 minutes completing CAPTCHA and email plus SMS verifications. You get a time to beat 45 minutes. Also, there is some kind of shooter game after this part. I do not recommend that. Okay, that was pretty funny, and that's a positive review. Overwatch is fun to play with friends, and then they talk about this one's about Overwatch, you know, not delivering on its PvE promise, and then just play Marvel Rivals. That is Overwatch 2. That is the sentiment so many people feel about the leading hero shooter on the market for the last number of years. And overall, this is the score you get. 21% of the reviews are positive out of 320,000. That is insane, truly insane. And even the recent reviews are very much mixed at only 46%. Not good at all. And say what you will about Marvel Rivals, whether you like it or not, it's having an impact on Microsoft, the most played games. It is the number 4 game right now. For comparison, Overwatch 2, let's find it. It's probably somewhere around here, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's like around 15 to 20. Definitely is having an impact. People are, you know, going to the new shiny thing. Now, if it has this impact for months to come, we'll see. But so far it has. It's cooking. Even on PlayStation, it's the same story. In the United States, top 10 games in your country. Marvel Rivals is sitting right there at the number 7 and 8 spot. Don't see Overwatch 2 here at all. Don't know where that is. And then it's obviously the top new game right now. And then on Steam, these numbers, again, they're just honestly insane. It's been about a week or two so far, and yeah, it's already still sitting at around 400,000 players. Obviously, that's going to go down in time, but this is direct competition. This competition is here to stay, in my opinion, for Overwatch, and that is good for the market. And again, other hero shooters have come on the market. We saw that with Concord, but it never had a chance because nothing about it stood out. This, at the very least, Marvel Rivals, I talked about it. I played it a little bit myself. The superhero abilities are really fun. It offers something I think is different enough than Overwatch. And I think a lot of people, especially once they get a little bit involved with it, play it for a little bit, realize they have that moment in which it's like, I get it. I understand it. This isn't an Overwatch clone. It's different and it's enjoyable. And it's free to play and it's not greedy mess that Overwatch 2 began as. And it's also a game that actually has an identity. Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch. The sequel really does not have a purpose here in 2024. And Blizzard has failed to establish one. And we've already talked about this in a separate video, but there is jealousy coming from Blizzard. This was the former head of Blizzard who blasted Marvel's Rivals while bringing up a terrible comparison, saying that the Widowmaker and Overwatch, it's a clear indication that Marvel Rivals is a clone because of the fact that they have Black Widow and Marvel Rivals, which everybody knows. Black Widow existed years ago, years before Overwatch was even a thought, years before even some of these developers or most of those developers were even fucking born. There is indeed some jealousy and envy coming from these developers, and I'm pretty sure much of the Blizzard team probably feeling the same way as this former lead. But still though, the games media, how they've covered Marvel Rivals, it just reminds me very, very much of kinda, I guess, Palworld. Palworld earlier this year, it was the hot new thing, and everybody was just saying, oh, it's knockoff Pokemon, and they really couldn't give a description or an understanding of why that game had like 2 fucking million players on its debut month. And obviously it slowed down over time, but I think a lot of people just have a hunger for a new hero shooter that offers something differently than Overwatch. And that's the one big thing that I always took issue with the Concord criticism. Oversaturation is very much a thing in the live service genre, but some of these development teams, especially the ones that like own a genre, a lot of them have been just playing with players as patience, and Overwatch has been asking for this pretty much. And yeah, this is the sentiment we're getting from games media with Marvel Rivals taking off. I'm already getting tired of Marvel Rivals, and it's completely Overwatch's fault. And again, they've had 7-8 years to refine that experience, and it plays decently. That's what I'll admit. I'll be the first one to admit that Overwatch plays. The balancing and all that stuff has kind of gone overboard the last couple of years, and Overwatch 2 is just a travesty in many regards because it's just reverting back to what Overwatch was years ago, except again, that has not been able to establish an identity for why the sequel exists in the first place at this point. They should just change the name back to Overwatch if we're being honest. Marvel Rivals feels like an Overwatch relaunch with new heroes. Both games have a lot of similarities, and to a degree they do, but the superhero abilities really does differentiate this experience from Overwatch in my opinion, and also the melee focus of a lot of these heroes and characters in Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals review, it's like Overwatch if Overwatch was over-complex and frequented Comic-Con. My favorite hero is John Marvel. My god, some of this coverage is just, it's mind-boggling. Marvel Rivals review, snackable team brawler lacks attention to the little details, Omni bust. They gave it a 2 out of 5. That is like worse than Concord, worse than many of these live service disasters. They gave it an abysmal score. That's just okay. NetEase's spin on the hero battler is complex and moreish, but rarely much actual fun. Its biggest impact is a renewed appreciation for the rivals that do it better. This is just glazing Overwatch again, an experience that many players do not feel the same way as this individual. They just seem to be out of touch, and it's kind of the sentiment so many people feel about games media nowadays. There's a reason why legacy media is dying, and yes, it is opinion pieces like this bullshit. We talked about this one before. Games Radar actually gave Concord a better score. Marvel Rival review, they gave it a 2.5 stars out of 5. So preoccupied with trying to be like Overwatch that it forgets to play to its own strengths. It's just so idiotic. High skill ceilings, some excellent hero ability sets, so much Marvel history. That's the only pros they could come up with. Blatant similarities to Overwatch character designs, serious character balance issues, missed opportunity to develop a unique identity. It's there, they just, for some reason, can't find it. Marvel Rivals review, the Kotaku review, oh boy. NetEase's take on the hero shooter is unapologetic about its inspirations, but it should learn from Overwatch's mistakes instead of repeating them. And then we have a different article which says Marvel Rivals needs to avoid making the same mistakes Overwatch did. Jesus, the consensus is just, it doesn't seem to be there, I guess, with games media. And then even some other critic reviews, it's a mess of, all these outlets are struggling to understand why Rivals are hitting so hard. And the only conclusion I keep seeing from them is that it's just the Marvel IP. It's the only reason why it's selling. And yeah, Marvel's Avengers never took off. Marvel's Midnight Suns never took off. Guardians of the Galaxy never took off. All experiences, some of them were really bad, but Guardians of the Galaxy was overwhelmingly got positive reviews. People just didn't go to those experiences, but they came here for this one. So I just don't think that works. But yeah, PC Gamer, Rivals is a well-made hero shooter that is easy to enjoy, and while it's managed to distinguish itself from Overwatch 2 in terms of heroes, it's fallen into the same pitfalls. Rivals is not a perfect game. It does not bring novelty and innovation to the playing field. It's just a clever use of branding, and it's fun to play as your favorite characters. Isn't that the point of video games in many ways? Fun to play. That's kind of what people care about. And yeah, more negative reviews. Rivals is crammed with Stan Lee superheroes, but its message about the total and utter Funko Popification of games is as bleak as Charles Burns' graphic novel. Yeah, this is the games media. This is how they feel about Rivals, and it is almost like pure hatred, almost like they're going to the defense for Blizzard. But we have seen that Marvel Rivals actually has learned from some of the mistakes that, Overwatch 2 did, especially in its early days. And this was one thing that Game Rant brought up brilliantly, and it was the fucking monetization, how horribly Overwatch 2 handled all of this. Like, when you have people that felt like loot boxes was a much better system than what they introduced at the beginning, I think that really says a lot. Overwatch 2's first monetization model was very controversial. It blew up. It was massive controversy. When Overwatch 2 first launched into early access in October 2022, it made some controversial decisions regarding its monetization practices. While the sequel would be completely free to play, most of its progression systems would now revolve around a battle pass. An immediate criticism levied at Overwatch 2 was that new heroes would be locked behind this premium battle pass, requiring players to spend real-world cash to unlock new characters. This is Blizzard. This is the greedy bullshit that they've tried pulling with many other experiences. We saw that with Diablo Immortal. We've seen that to a degree with Diablo 4 and many other games over the years. This is this company. This is what they are about. I thought that under Microsoft maybe some things would get better, but no. They've just continued to double down on this. And they also mentioned that instead Overwatch 2 removal of loot boxes essentially removed players' ability to unlock skins without spending money. Again, a worse system somehow they introduced. Thankfully, Overwatch 2's monetization practices have been revised a few times since the game's 2022 launch. I think people need to understand, especially when people say like gamer protests don't work out, they don't have an impact. That's just a total lie. This is a great example of it. People were loud. They protested. They called out Blizzard for this, and they forced them to revert. And yeah, all heroes are now unlocked for all players without the need to purchase battle passes or special currencies, and players are able to unlock a nice range of skins for their heroes by earning in-game currency via gameplay. But those initial criticisms are hard to forget, and many people don't forget this, and I think that's for good reason. And then yes, this is what Marvel Rivals did. They learned from the past. Rivals is avoiding Overwatch 2's monetization issues from the get-go. For a start, NetEase also confirmed that all 33 launch heroes will be immediately unlocked for free, as we've seen, and any heroes that are added in future updates will also be completely free. The same is true for any new maps and modes that are added in future seasons. Players will be able to unlock a free battle pass every season that grants them new skins, MVP cinematics, and other cosmetic goodies. Players have the option to purchase a luxury battle pass to unlock additional rewards, all of which are cosmetic and don't affect gameplay at all. Once a luxury battle pass has been purchased, players will be able to keep working on it even after the season ends. I believe Halo Infinite was one of the first games that introduced this. I'm pretty sure that's the game that really started this, eliminating the time pressure FOMO tactics found in fellow live service titles like Fortnite. And that is very much, like I said, they've learned from a lot of the mistakes that, Blizzard and all these other development teams ran into. And that's great. These are the things that you should learn from. But still, though, there has been controversy in regards to the balancing. That's the big thing people are waiting to see. Are they going to overbalance the game? We've seen how other live services, especially here in 2024, were ruined by that fact. Helldivers 2 has been up and down because of all of that stuff. And yeah, despite Marvel Rivals players using Overwatch's worst meta and DPS mains refusing to swap, the Hero Shooters lead says the team is not considering a role queue. Which again, this is one of those things that's been met to some controversy. But I think a lot of people are saying that just keep it how it is right now. Keep it how it is. That's the message. And yeah, this is what the game director said. Right now, we're not considering a role queue. The team's goal is to offer a wider variety of team composition through team-up skills and their own designs to let people play their Marvel superheroes rather than limiting players to choose a role. From the data we're seeing in our back end, things are going pretty solid. We want people to have a Marvel experience where they're free to select what they want. Since the closed beta, things have been rational and within expectations. In our competitive play recently, there's a lot of different compositions emerging from players, and we'd like to continue to monitor these fun compositions and how they impact our game. And then yeah, these are some of the reactions to this news. This game is going nowhere if they decide not to add role queue. Very bad decision. And then role queue is part of the reason Overwatch died. Poor decision, in my opinion. The viral post was Rivals does not need role queue. You need to learn how to play more characters. So yeah, it seems to be some split opinions here, and I think PC Gamer was right. Say what you will, some of the coverage is good. They did point out that Rivals is blissful chaos, which makes me worry that like Overwatch, it'll have the fun drained out of it once the balancing war begins. The try-hard conundrum, and that's kind of the big thing with all these live services, the overbalancing. It just always seems to happen, and this is one of those things that people are watching with NetEase. But say what you will, this development team so far seems to understand this market better than most. The Rivals director recently again explained why Concord failed, and I think he brought up the right points. He said Rivals game director Thaddeus Cesar stated that he didn't believe Concord brought unique value to the hero shooter market. I would agree. He also referred to his switching costs associated with launching a new hero shooter. I've already invested in Overwatch. I've got 15 skins for Pharah. I'm not going anywhere. The director believes that the game stands apart because its characters are a known quantity. Again, I would agree. When Sasser was pitched the idea of Rivals, he was immediately excited. I don't know about you, but when I heard the concept of the game, I was like, oh my god, I want to go be Storm in the game. I want to go be Doctor Strange in the game, the director said. And I think those hero abilities really are the selling point of this experience so far, and what makes it stand out, say to Overwatch. And Concord, say what you will about that experience, there was just nothing going for it at all. And also, having some god-awful character design definitely impacted why that game was just a disaster from the get-go, even why its open beta barely could get around 2,000 players. But Blizzard is facing competition on all fronts. Diablo is getting this competition, and this is healthy. This is good for the market. We're seeing this, and this is going to cause, Blizzard to make it or break it, and that is good. These developers, these studios, a lot of them just aren't getting enough competition, and it goes for all different genres, especially in the sports sphere. We see that like with EA and NBA, and they go overboard with monetization and stupid shit, and that's why why I think a lot of people have such disdain for the AAA industry, and seeing more developers emerge and introducing new games that take on, you know, the giants of this industry, this is good. I think this headline says a lot. Overwatch 2 devs are clearly scared of Marvel Rivals, and that's a good thing. Damn sure. The impact of Rivals on Overwatch 2 has been meteoric. Social media is ablaze for Rivals. Despite Overwatch 2's reintroduction of 6v6, popular Overwatch streamers have flocked to Rivals for content, and Overwatch 2 just hit a low point for concurrent players on Steam. And it goes on to mention that I guess the one thing that Overwatch 2 is trying to do to win back players is they're relying on skins. The new shiny hero shooter scratches the itch that no game other than Overwatch was able to, and Overwatch 2 players are fed up with the tired 5v5 counter-swap meta. The switch to a free-to-play model has also dramatically reduced the amount of cosmetics players could earn, as even those who bought the once full-price games were gate-kept from skins only obtainable through premium currencies and battle passes. In an attempt to win some players back as the Rivals hype continues, recent announcements have revealed 8 free skins that players can earn throughout the holidays. This is a pretty big step up from the single free skin on offer in 2023's holiday event, and there's a reason why they're doing this, and it has everything to do with Rivals. It's blatant, if we're being honest here. And then they mentioned that one major free cosmetic is Katara May's skin for the the Avatar The Last Airbender collaboration. And they wouldn't have done this if Rivals wasn't bringing on the heat right now. And I still don't think that this is going to do much to deter players from going and trying that out at the very least. But say what you will, the Overwatch team has been mismanaging this game so badly. Like, it's the PvE thing is one thing, and the monetization, but even some of the other stuff, it's just hilarious. This tweet, again, this is from Blizzard. It's hilarious because they actually forgot about one of their characters. Oh, poor Venture. And yeah, they did like a 2024 in review, and as you can see here, yeah, they felt nostalgic. Juno, Moaga, and they just completely forgot about Venture. That's just so funny in my opinion. And then some people pointing out, I feel like Venture didn't get that hype the other new heroes got. It partially feels like they just there to say, oh, we have a non-binary hero. And yeah, that's modern Blizzard with everything that they've done. It's very much just that, virtue signaling. Ramatra wasn't mentioned either. It seems that he's the more forgettable hero. Another one, Jesus. But this is what I mean. This is the state of Overwatch 2. This has just been constant chaos, and that's why they've earned this competition. Overwatch 2 PvE completely canceled after poor sales. And again, some of the reactions that people gave to this were, they rightfully called out Blizzard, because Blizzard introduced a couple of shitty little story missions that were nowhere near what was originally promised, and players they rightfully called this out. Like I said, after promising everyone a PvE campaign, and then launching the game speaking nothing of it, and then admitting we canceled it months after its release, no one wants to pay for our half-baked PvE scenarios. No shit, people don't want your bare minimum. People were shown talent trees, and then they got 5-minute scenarios that devolve into the same gameplay loop as booting up the PvP, just with set skins and less hero variety on a smaller map. They have only themselves to blame. And actually, they canceled the PvE stuff long before release, even while still advertising it. And that's the bullshit stuff that Blizzard, yeah, this is what they got away with. This is what they've been getting away with. Another comment. Upon release, the missions were met with mixed reviews. The PvE was a shell of the PvE experience, like I said, that was promised. Why did they expect people to pay for something that used to be free in a free-to-play game that was already appealing to cheaper players? Why do they expect players to retain excitement for a game that was pitched as an update focused on PvE experiences that they apparently abandoned on a whim? Overwatch has become a masterclass on how to destroy your own product and brand, very much so. And this is really the defining moment that they've had so far of 2024. It was them bringing back 6v6, and it's not even in a permanent fashion. And some of the comments that Blizzard has said as of late indicates it might not be a permanent thing in the future. And I mean, the reception though has been there. The 6v6 enthusiasts were right. They're absolutely loving it. I started playing Overwatch 2 and had only experienced 5v5, and I was skeptical about how different 6v6 would feel. Well, they've just shut my mouth because it really is better. Another comment mass upvoted, 6v6 is so much better than 5v5, it's not even funny. And yet, Overwatch 2 devs reveal they may not bring back 6v6 despite player praise. That defines the modern Blizzard and how out of touch and how stupid they are. And yes, it has everything to do with all the legwork and all the redesigning things that they would have to do. But I guess they just keep on trying to push down this road, not understanding that Overwatch 2 it's a failed idea. It is, yeah, like this article brings up, it is a failed idea. You have to accept that fact, but for some reason this team cannot. And this article goes on to mention that Overwatch 2 director Aaron Keller released a blog post recently about the ongoing playtest, acknowledging the popularity of the playtest, but also revealing that 6v6 may not return in permanent form. Just insane in my opinion. If we were ever to make 6v6 a permanent part of the game, this version would eliminate the queue time issues that we had in the past, Keller stated, implying that 6v6 is still not set in stone, which that's just a stupid thing to say at this point. A transition to 6v6 isn't simple and would require a massive top-down rework for different characters and maps, and this is the excuse that they're going to run into. It's too much work for us, we can't do this, you know, we only have so much money allocated to, you know, the Overwatch budget right now. Maybe Overwatch 3. I swear that's what they're going to do with this shit. And then there's even some people that have theorized that they're just going to ruin 6v6, continue to like add terrible balancing updates to make people feel like, actually, you know, 5v5's, you know, infinitely better. That's what's great. But I think at the same time, doing all of this, now with Marvel Rivals looming over Blizzard and Overwatch 2, they can't pull this type of shit. They have to do the legwork. They have to do the hard work. Which again, competition is good. And again, some of the Overwatch 2 fan base, it's just pure delusion. Blizzard recently hired the former lead on Overwatch 2's Invasion PvE missions, again, rehired. Fans hope this means new PvE modes will be added to the game. They're not going to make that investment with this experience. I think it's game over with that. The Overwatch 2 vision died really when Jeff Kaplan left that studio, and it might have already been dead from the get-go when it was even announced. They were never going to go all the way into this, especially when you have such a hold on the hero market. But hey, maybe this makes them change their act. They have to do something. A big competitor like Marvel Rivals is here, and other experiences like Deadlock as well. And yeah, the delusion just continues. A canceled mode can still help Overwatch 2 beat Marvel Rivals that's shattering all records. And again, they would have to invest tons of resources, money, and I just don't believe that's going to happen. They're talking about the PvE mode here and everything that was originally promised, which I think it's way too late at this point for any of that. Another one, Overwatch 2 is so ahead even with it being an older game. Yeah, 8-9 years. They've had years to refine the experience, and in many ways they've over-refined it. Rivals is pushing gamers into realizing why Blizzard's Overwatch 2 can never die. I don't think it is going to die, but it can definitely take a decent amount of that player base, and that is good because it forces Blizzard to do better for their audience, which at this point it doesn't seem like they will, but maybe they'll be forced into a corner. Anyway, Marvel Rivals is definitely in what can be described as a honeymoon phase, and that'll probably go on for a couple more months, but NetEase, everything that they've outlined, some of the leaks indicating new heroes on the way, definitely seems like they had a plan with this live service experience. And, you know, say what you will, optimized, that is what Rivals has been, largely. It definitely probably will get some balancing updates. Hopefully they don't go overboard, but I definitely do think that this team, out of any of the other competitors that have, you know, brought, you know, Blizzard competition in this form, they seem to know what they're doing here, and they've truly learned from the mistakes that other teams just weren't able to capitalize on. So obviously we'll see what happens, but right now Marvel's Rivals is damaging Overwatch 2 and Blizzard. They are cooking them. They are the hot new thing, and again, if NetEase continues to make the right moves, they're definitely going to take a massive slice of the Overwatch audience, and Blizzard deserves it at this point. Anyway, what do you make of Marvel Rivals? Have you decided to check it out? What do you make of the state of Overwatch 2? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.